sunrise. The sunrise in Puerto Rico was brilliant, and a viewer even captured some ground fog. Early season cold moved into the northeast and frosted over this dahlia flower near Syracuse.
For more content like this, subscribe to the National Weather Desk's YouTube channel.
And it may not feel quite like it now, but winter weather is not far off. All across the country, people are gearing up for the cold weather. Jamie Eli is in Ohio, where officials are inspecting snowplows and stockpiling salt across the state.
115,000 miles. That's how far ODOT workers in Jefferson County drove this past winter, battling ice, snow, and unsafe conditions. With that time of year coming up again, workers lined the ODOT garage for inspections, a district-wide effort to prepare the plows for the worst of winter.
We've used the dump trucks throughout the summer, but not for snow and ice, obviously. And so it's important to check out all of these things, like the plow, the salt spinners, the brakes.
That's not the only precaution the agency is taking, as they gather materials far before the first flakes fall.
Throughout the summer, we're typically getting salt delivered. We actually have more than 800,000 tons of salt under roof across the state. So that's statewide, but we're fully ready to go for the winter season.
It might seem counterintuitive, with fall just starting and the sun still shining. However, officials say getting out ahead of Arctic conditions is imperative.
There's times that we see snow showers in November. So October is typically the month that we do these inspections of our trucks and make sure everything is ready to go, just in case we do see an early winter.
With temperatures heading down over the coming months, ODOT officials ask motorists to keep one thing in mind.
When the motoring public is out there, just be mindful that they're out there for your safety. Give them plenty of room to work.
And as the days grow shorter and the sun sets earlier, people are starting to experience what's known as seasonal affective disorder, a common condition that can bring about a darker mood during the fall and winter months. Green Bay meteorologist Audrey Lay has more.
The leaves are changing color, and there's a chill in the air. But that's not the only change happening. For some, the darker days can bring a darker mood, known as seasonal affective disorder.
Our bodies are really trying to readjust and get back in rhythm, but it just can't. It's shorter, darker days, and our body's just trying to get out of that blue space.
Shorter days means spending less time outdoors, which in return means we're getting less vitamin D.
When it gets darker sooner, we don't get to get outside and do a lot of things. We usually, get inside and close the blinds and get comfy when it should be a little bit of the opposite of us, seeking that sunlight.
Mental health providers say there's an increase in people seeking help this time of year.
Usually around mid to late September, we see an uptick of people trying to get in. In October, we go full swing.
Seasonal affective disorder can mimic depression, but there are some differences.
Our appetite changes and we start to crave more carbohydrates, along with that restlessness, the pacing, and really seeking outlets, but like in a restless way.
But some of the simplest ways to help boost our moods this season is to get outside, even when it's gray or cold.
It doesn't have to be us having this really rich workout plan. It can be as simple as going to the mall and walking around, or going to the movies just so you can be around other people and not even having to say a word. I think so often we think that struggling with mental health is a death sentence when it isn't.
And while we're dealing with all things fall, let's talk about leaves. No matter the temperature, when fallen leaves are wet, they can be very slippery. Meteorologist Violet Skibor explains.
Driving on a road with wet leaves can be as slippery as ice. But how long does it take for you to stop on a road that can be covered with them? Let's look at an example. Say you're driving 40 miles per hour on a dry road, a wet road, and a road covered in wet leaves. And you need to come to an immediate stop. It'll take about 80 feet to stop on that dry road, double that on a wet road, 160 feet, but more than triple that on a road covered in wet leaves, 250 feet. But what makes leaves so slippery? Well, when they fall off the tree, most plants take in water through their roots, so the leaf that's on the ground is not designed to allow water in. Instead, the water sits on top of the leaf's waxy coating, creating a film that's actually similar similar to what's found on ice. And looking at the friction coefficient, which is the slip resistance between tires and road surfaces, the lower the number, the less traction there is. The highest on the scale is concrete when it's dry. Of course, wet can make it more slippery. Then asphalt is second on the list. Gravel and dirt is third. Snow is above ice and wet leaves, which have the same friction coefficient. Super slippery, almost 0 on the scale. So definitely want to be careful driving on wet leaves this time of year, even before icy roads come as we enter the months of winter.
They're tiny and mighty and downright annoying. Folks in the southeast are dealing with droves of Asian woolly hackberry aphids. These little white bugs leave behind a sticky mess which can aggravate allergy symptoms. Katie Glanton tells us more.
When they're in your hair, it makes people think that you've got dandruff.
The Asian woolly hackberry aphid is an invasive species making an appearance in the Chattanooga area. A research study conducted at UT Knoxville says they have been in our area for a couple decades, but have been extremely prevalent this year. In fact, Tennessee resident Sheila Saunders has lived in Tennessee since she was 18 and only recently heard of them.
This is the first time I've ever seen them. So if they've been here in previous years, they've been few in number. And this year, it's just like, it's an explosion of them.
The Tennessee Department of Agriculture says these aphids eat the sugary sap from hackberry trees. What they can't digest turn into a sugary substance called honeydew.
This honeydew becomes a type of mold, and as we mentioned, the mold then will dry and their spores will become airborne.
Dr. Mark Cromie from the Chattanooga Allergy Clinic says these excess mold spores could affect those sensitive to allergens and those with asthma.
And they can cause patients that have allergies to have runny nose, sneezing, itching. If they have asthma, that might be another respiratory trigger.
And if the honeydew is not cleaned, it could make things worse.
If these are left, to sit, that we can have more airborne allergen exposure.
According to the National Library of Medicine, the warming temperature can make these aphids reproduce faster. And since this September was warmer than average, that could explain the increase in woolly aphids. Most of these aphids die off during a cold spell, which according to the National Weather Service, usually first happens in late October to early November.
And time now for a short break, but first we take to the skies over Utah for a view of some stunning fall foliage.
Well, a very good Friday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael. Cold front's moving its way across the Midwest today, giving us a little bit of rain, trying to move its way closer to the Ohio Valley, but it kind of fizzles out as it approaches there by tomorrow. But temperature-wise, pretty comfortable. A lot of 70s and 60s, a few 80s on the map there to the far south. As we continue into your Sunday, got a little bit of rain across the northern plains.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. Waking up a little bit on the steamy side down along the Texas coast. It's pretty warm all the way up into Amarillo and even Oklahoma City, sitting at about 65. We're going to be watching a weak system down to the south. That'll bring more scattered rain down into South Texas. Otherwise, it's going to be dry, and it should be another nice day across the region. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia, and that's a look at your regional weather.
I'm George Waldenberger with your forecast for the western United States. Two weather makers, one moving in from the south, one moving in from the northwest. That will bring rain from Northern California up to Oregon and Washington, beneficial for the ongoing wildfires. Also, a plume of moisture wrapping into Arizona, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, watching the flood risk there. The winds, though, over Lake Tahoe, Nevada, those will taper off. That's the scene from out here.
I'm Jeff Exline, Chief Meteorologist in Steubenville, Ohio, and Wheeling, West Virginia. And you're watching the National Weather Desk.
And it's time now for our Friday football forecast. Here's meteorologist Katie Morgan.
That time of the week again, let's talk about football. And we're going to start with our college matchups of the week here. We've got some rain, unfortunately, in Eugene, Oregon, with the Ducks taking on Indiana. We'll see temperatures right around 60 in Eugene. Oklahoma at Texas, so it's going to be at the Cotton Bowl. Temperatures will be around 90 for any tailgating beforehand with plenty of sunshine at a big game in Columbia, Missouri this weekend as Alabama is in town taking on Mizzou. Great weather with temperatures right around 72 with sunshine. To the NFL we go. On Sunday, Seahawks at Jaguars. We're looking at temperatures in the low 70s with sunshine and a mostly clear sky with the Lions in town. Kansas City taking on the Chiefs. Temperature around 80 degrees. And we have one more across the pond going into Sunday morning. We'll be at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The Broncos at the Jets. 15 degrees Celsius at kickoff, which is 60. Hope you guys are having a great start to your Friday. I'm meteorologist Katie Morgan.
And thank you so much for joining us. I'm meteorologist Matt Ritter. Make it a great Friday. Have a wonderful, safe weekend. And we'll see you right back here on Monday for the National Weather Desk.